Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this 2023 Infiniti QX60 and we're going to do the front grille chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, this is how it looks before doing the installation on the front panel, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we use the gloss black material, that way it matches with the color of the front grille, and it also gives the vehicle a more sportier look. If you like the product, link for the product will be linked below. But with that being said, let's get started with the installation video. So before we start with the installation, we need to make sure we prep the panel. So all you need is water and baby shampoo mixed together in a spray bottle. Once you have your solution, spray it onto a clean microfiber towel and make sure you start removing any contaminants that the panel may have. And also make sure once you're done cleaning the whole chrome, make sure that everything's completely dry as well. That way the adhesive on the film is able to tack down to the panel and it doesn't lift. So once you finish prepping the panel, now we can start with the installation. So we're going to start off by getting the film that covers this middle section of where the lettering is located. So just make sure you align it from one end and work your way and align it to the other side. You could use the top section as the guide in order to align it. And also, if you're aligning it like that, just make sure everything's being covered on this section here. If not, then you could just overlap it just a little bit and then it could be trimmed off on top. So just place it just like that. Once you place the film, go ahead and start tacking it down with your squeegee to make sure we start securing it to the panel and also removing any air bubbles that are trapped underneath the film. To secure the lower section, on these two sections of the curve, you're going to apply a little bit of heat just to help tack down the film and avoid having in your fingers. And if you do have fingers, we avoid creasing them as well by applying heat. So grab your heat gun, start applying heat on each section of the curve. That way we're able to tack down the film. And as you apply heat, make sure to start tacking it down. And to secure each lettering for each section of the panel here, you're going to apply heat around the area. Press it down. You could use your squeegee or your finger to help the film tack down. And once you've tacked down enough, you are going to encounter a little bubble. That bubble, to get rid of it, you would have to press on it, release the air from the top. So lift this carefully and release it like that. So make sure to bring all the air to the top, since it's the closer section with the less material to worry about, and do the same for each one. So make sure to take your time, don't rush this process, and make sure also don't overheat the film because you might overstretch it as well. So just a little bit of heat around the lettering, take all the air to the top. Once all the air is on the top, lift it carefully on the top to release the air and tack it back down. So just repeat the same steps that we're doing here to the remaining lettering. So once you finish each letter, just apply heat one last time just to help the film sit on each section and to also make sure that there's no air still left behind. Once everything has been tacked down, then we could start trimming off the material that we don't need on the top section. So there is a small gap in between the grille and the lower panel. That's where you would insert your blade and slowly, carefully just remove the excess material that we don't need no more. And then apply heat one more time to seal the whole film, and then we can move on with the next piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to this section of the panel. So with this one, start off where we left off in order to match it. So make sure you're covering the chrome, and make sure once you align it that you're going to have enough material to cover this section. So if you need to lift and readjust it, you can. Just be careful and realign the film. And you should have just a little bit of material on top in order to cover. And the rest should fall into place as well. follow where you left off. And that should be good. Slowly remove the air from underneath the film. And just make sure you remove any air across the body line here, because air does tend to get trapped here. And then tack it down underneath. Okay, before we trim off any excess material, we're going to apply heat. That way the film starts to shrink and mold to the curve here and on top. And once the film starts tacking down, then we could see what will be the excess material. Another thing you can do, just to make sure you have more material to cover underneath, is after you apply heat, lift the film carefully and tuck it underneath. So lift and tuck in. Now that we covered everything underneath, now we can trim off the extra material here and on top as well. So remember, there's a small gap here, and also there's a gap in between the panel and the bumper, right in the middle here. So when you enter your blade, make sure it's right in the middle, that way you don't accidentally scratch anything, and then slowly, carefully trim off the extra material. And do the same for the top. And before we move on to the next piece, apply heat on the entire film. That way the adhesive starts to activate faster. Okay, so now we're moving on to this piece here. So with this one, start off by placing the film onto the panel where we left off. And make sure you have it aligned to where you cover the chrome here. So just like that. And then follow the rest of the design until you reach to the top. And if you need to lift to readjust it, you can. Just carefully lift it and adjust it and then place it. So it should be like this. Now grab your heat gun, apply heat to start securing all the edges around the film. Once you apply heat, just grab your squeegee and make sure everything stays tacked down. And then on this top section here, just give yourself a little bit of material to wrap around and cover at least the edge here. And then the rest could be trimmed off. So apply a little bit of heat to help the film loosen up the tension. Use your finger and the rest will could trim off. We just need to cover at least a little bit of the tip here. And now trim off extra material. Small gap right here in the middle. Insert your blade and trim off. And just apply heat one more time to seal this entire film, and then we can move on with the side piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to the last piece here. With this one, just make sure you have a little bit of material to cover this top section of the panel. And you can place it and align the film just like that. So just follow the design. If you need to move it just a bit to realign it, you can. But just carefully align it and just make sure you have material to cover the top. So it should be like that. Grab your squeegee and start tacking down the entire film. And around this curve, we're going to apply heat in order to cover this section of the panel. So apply heat here too as well. That way the film stays tacked down. Also on this area. Lift the film here, if you have any, to release the tension and tuck it underneath. And apply heat on the top area here to help the film tack down. Place it back down, and you only need enough to cover at least the inside of the panel, right around there. And then the rest, excess material, you can trim off. So trim off here, small gap. Okay, apply heat all over the panel once more to secure the film. And now that we finished this whole lower section of the panel, you would just repeat the same steps that we've done here to the other side, and then once you're done, move on to the top piece up here. So now we're moving on to the last piece for the upper section of the grill. So with this one, make sure when you align this film, align it in order to cover the curved area of the panel here. So give yourself a little bit of material to work with. It doesn't have to be too much excessive, just enough to cover the curve. So roughly around there, and then the rest, align it to the top section of the panel. If you do happen to have fingers, carefully apply heat, and with your squeegee, squeegee at an angle to remove them. And with this one, you could tuck in the film underneath as much as you can. Everything else would just get trimmed off. You're going to use your heat gun in order to help the film start wrapping around the curve. So start around the curve area and slowly make your way to this outer section. Once this is secured, finish off with the rest of the flat surface here. That way everything flows as you're installing. For the lower section here, you're only going to need a little bit of material to cover the lower chrome. Everything else will be excess material. So just apply heat in order to help release the tension, and you're able to tack it down underneath the panel. So slowly bring it down, remove the air, and cover the panel underneath. Lift this section a little bit and wrap it around the curve, and the rest of the material will get trimmed off. So find that outline or that small gap in between the panel and the grill. Create an outline with your finger, and with your blade trim off the extra material. So you see how the blade just goes in? That's where the gap is located. And once you finish with the installation for one side, you would just repeat the same steps to the other end. The film is going to overlap a little bit when you install the other side. You could trim off right in the middle here, carefully and slowly trimming it off. That way the film at least reaches and you won't see that big overlap. So it'll be up to you, personal preference. And then once you're done installing it, you will post heat the entire panel. So the last thing to do once you finish with the whole installation for the front grille is to post heat the whole entire panel. So you would just grab your heat gun and apply heat on each section of the grille that was installed, making sure that we help the adhesive on the film activate faster. And also if there is any film still lifting, we help it tack down to secure it to the panel and it doesn't lift over time. So just take your time when you're doing this step, and then when you're done with this step, you're done with the installation. Thank you for choosing Bogar Tech Design. As a small business, your support means everything to us. If you loved your product, please drop a review. If you have questions or issues, don't forget to message us via email. Once again, thank you so much for the support from our family to yours. Okay, so that concludes the installation video for the front grille chrome delete installation for the 2023 Infiniti QX60. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. If it did, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.